Morning, kids. Hope everybody's all right on this Tuesday morning. Hey, if you made it back, just like I always say, if you made it back, then Monday wasn't that bad. You made it. Congratulations. So here we are. Here we are. So our title this morning is going to be it's hidden purpose. Question this morning is: have you ever looked back and realized God was working long before you could see it? Oh man, I tell you, you know what? I'm gonna tell you that story at the end of this. Our opening scripture this morning is going to be from the KJV, Genesis 50 and 20. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring it to pass, and as it is this day, to save much people alive. Joseph's story reminds us that God's plans are often hidden while they're happening. Being betrayed by his brothers didn't look like God's plan. No, it didn't. Sitting in an Egyptian prison didn't feel like God's blessing either, did it? Yet every difficult chapter was another step towards the place God intended to use him. The truth is, we usually understand God's faithfulness by looking in the rearview mirror. We want him to hand us the whole road map, but instead he gives us enough light for the next step. If today's chapter doesn't make sense, don't close the book before God finishes writing the story. So our challenge for this day: think back on one difficult season God has already brought you through. Let that memory strengthen your faith today. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tell this story real quick, and it's a little testimonial. So once upon a time, I did not do things lawfully. I might have been involved in some practices of illegal things that I'm just not even gonna say. But I did a lot of drugs back in the day. Anyway, there's this one house I lived in, and it was where I was at my lowest point. Although, I mean, I will say that's where I lived when my youngest daughter Darcy was born, and that was a wonderful time. One of the most wonderful moments in my life, but actually one of the lowest points of my life was when I lived in this house over on Trice Street in Hugo, Oklahoma. Now, the funny thing is, right now we here the last several months we've been doing a men's breakfast or a family breakfast, and at the church right there on the corner of Trice and 5th Street. And at that church is the church that in 1993 I walked down the aisle and got saved. I got baptized right there in that church. That is the church I was in when I gave my life to the Lord. Now, I ain't saying it didn't stick. I slid back away from it. But a few years later, I ended up living right behind the property that I had owned previously when I got saved, at the lowest point of my life. That's where I was at. So I was telling that story at a men's breakfast, and I was speaking at a men's breakfast over at a Southside Baptist over there. So I'm speaking at this men's breakfast, and my pastor was there, Pastor Mike, and we got to talking. And I was telling him, I said, yeah, that's, just a couple, in my testimony that morning I was saying, just a couple of houses down here was where, I was doing bad things and poisoning the community with drugs and stuff like that. And, I was just a bad person then. Or somebody said, you were a good person doing bad things. No, I think I was just a bad person then. However you want to look at it. I ain't that man no more. Thank the Lord. Is it by his hand only? He gave me a good woman and put me in better places and got me out of all that stuff. But anyway, he gave me that baby girl. She helped too. Anyway, so this is one of those things where he was already working on me at that point, and I did not know it. I couldn't see it at the time, because Pastor Mike pointed out to me, he said, man, do you think at that point in your life when you were just doing bad things and you were bad off, Do you think it's an accident that the Lord put you right within eyesight and earshot? You could see the place where you got saved. And I had never ever thought about it. It'd been, Darcy's 20 something, but so 24. So it'd been 24 years since I lived over there. And I never thought about that. So had I been paying attention and all that stuff at that time, it's very likely that I might have turned it around sooner. But that wasn't the plan, I guess. Wasn't my plan anyway. So, the Lord may be working on you, whether you realize it or not. Keep that in mind. Just because things don't always going your way don't mean that He ain't working on you. It ain't going the way you think it should. Because He's always got a plan for you. He knows what's going to happen with your life. Way, way before you know it. He knows the beginning, the end, and all the middle, and the ups and downs, all the things. So, anyway. So, our closing scripture this morning, we're going to change it up a little bit. Our closing scripture this morning comes from the NASB 95, Romans 8:28. And we know that God calls all things to work together for good, and those who love God and those who are called according to His purpose. And like I said, just remember, He's always working. He's always got a plan. He ain't through with you yet. And He's working in your life, whether you understand or know about the plan. It's like it said in our thing this morning. He ain't going to give you the whole map. He's going to show you what you need to see. So keep that in mind. And y'all go on, have a good day. Peace.